Kaarakin Black Cockatoo Conservation Centre is a specialist wildlife centre dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating sick and injured wild native black cockatoos. They are the only facility dedicated to the conservation and rehabilitation of black cockatoos in Australia, including the Bowdens, Carnabys and red-tailed species. In 2014, almost 10 years ago, Carbon Positive Australia assisted in reforesting part of the orchid in Banyowla Regional Park. 16,000 trees were planted on the 38-hectare site. We focused on plant species that were known to be essential to the feeding, breeding and roosting cycles of these endangered black cockatoo species. We are here today to learn a bit more about these unique birds and what significance our planting has had.
So can you tell us a bit more about your role at the Conservation Centre here?
So I manage all the animals here now, as well as all our education as well.
Last year you had around 300 birds that needed rehabilitating. Can you tell me on average how long the process takes with rehabilitation and what this looks like?
It's very complex. It depends on the age of the bird. If they come in young, they're dependent on their parents for up to 18 months, so those birds might be here for a couple of years. Likewise, some birds get out here within a few months, and because we make sure they go out together as a flock, sometimes they're here a bit longer, just pairing up as a flock, so they go out and they stay together, which we know is huge for them close to release. So anywhere from a few months to a few years.
When these birds are released, what data do you collect?
Well, all our birds go out with microchips in them. They all have leg bands with a unique number, so if they do get resighted, we know how old they are, where they've moved, which helps. And we do work closely with Murdoch University, and they have been putting tracking devices on some of the birds as well to study their movements as well.
What are the main threats these birds face in the wild?
Huge one, obviously, land clearing, habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, illegal shooting, unfortunately, competition for nesting hollows, raven attacks, which people don't realise. Becoming an increasing problem, particularly with red tails as they move into the suburbs. Ravens, although they're native, their population is disproportionate because they're eating all of our waste, and in turn, unfortunately, they're attacking black cockatoos.
In your opinion, what more needs to be done to protect these birds?
The big one, getting more natives in people's gardens. Again, people think you've got to go and plant huge, big jarrah marri trees. You don't. You can go plant little hakias in your garden. Getting a native garden, a few natives there really helps black cockatoos.
Can you tell us what role all species of the three cockatoos here have to play in the natural ecosystem?
Well, the nature's pruners, they prune a lot of trees, disperse those seeds, and promote regrowth in those trees. And they're also very iconic, what we call flagship species, so obviously they get used a lot. If we protect black cockatoo habitat, obviously we then protect habitat for lots of other species, and they're quite significant in a lot of Indigenous cultures as well.
A loss of species can have significant impacts on other species. Do you know what losing these birds would mean for our environment?
It'll be huge. Again, they're one of the only species with a big enough bill to get into these big marri nuts here. Again, they're iconic here to Perth. They're a large bird that can travel large distances. They're adapting to lots of different foods here, and if we can't save them, then really it just shows we really can't save much else.
What types of plant and tree species are important for cockatoos in terms of their habitat and food?
Easy ones for people to plant, any hakias, grevilleas, banksias, all your different types of bottle brush. Obviously you can get your big marri trees as well. The list's honestly endless. If you go to any native nursery, they'll be more than happy to help you pick out some natives for black cockatoos. And again, if you've got a smaller area, you love these massive banksias, now we do selectively grow them to grow dwarf as well. So you can get some trees that are usually huge, but they grow to 1 or 2 meters as opposed to 20.
Perfect. Awesome. And Carbon Positive Australia assisted in planting in part of the Banyowla Regional Park in 2014. Are you able to tell me how these trees are doing or how it's doing in the regional park?
It's doing amazing now. So if you walk through that area now, it was once completely degraded. Now it's a huge forest. And if you walk through, you can find lots of evidence of these chewed gum nuts. So lots of our species, including our black cockatoos, are back using that area now as a foraging site, which is awesome.
Perfect. That's everything. Thank you so much.